kind of between the florist and that parking lot for Sylvia's and angle over into the manhole there on Jefferson. Now, as to the drive that, is well established, that I'm not sure who all uses it, but that belongs to Mr. Furstenberg, maybe?
What's his name?
So I'm not sure who has permission to use that, or it may own
Is it Furstenberg or
Sylvia's.
Furstenberg?
What was the name of the gentleman? Furstenberg or
Raymond Furstenberg.
First with an F?
Yeah, yeah. And that would be on the other side of the florist. You can access it there, and of course off of Capitol, you can come in pretty wide spot back there. But the line that we're proposing would be inside the properties that are owned by the 4 adjacent owners that have the developed property that are currently connected to that line.
Can I ask a question? So what you're telling me is there's 4 owners that own all of those properties there on Lincoln.
Yes, sir. From Capitol to Jefferson, there are 4 owners, individual, that front Jefferson. I mean, that front Lincoln.
Each one of those buildings, let's say, it's 105 foot, is what you're saying, from
Property
Lincoln.
off of Lincoln is about 105 foot deep. And varying widths, of course. And what I would recommend is, at least a 12 foot, maybe a 15 foot easement, so that the city crews could maintain and get, backhoe or whatever might be needed, or cleaner to get back there to get the line done.
Do you know what the distance would be from, I know all those buildings vary in depth, from the back of the buildings to the back side of that parking lot?
We have, let's see, I may be able to kind of give you a guesstimate. We really didn't want to get too far into this until we were authorized to do so, but I would say at least 15 to 20 feet from the back of the building to their property, at least 15 to 20 feet.
Further than that.
Yeah, because there's a big parking lot, there's that drive on the other side coming off of Jefferson that you said someone owns. So if you came in right there, from that point to the back of those buildings is more than 50 feet.
Right, from the back of Sylvia's, yes. The others go back further. You got the parking lot, and then the flower shop, no, not the hair salon, and then you have that Rock Drive. And so I guess it would be kind of in that Rock Drive. I think Mike was correct.
So the proposal is to put the easement for that line close to the back of the buildings?
Not close. We'd like to keep it from the back property line of all those to about 12 to 15 feet in, which would keep the new public line as far away as possible from the buildings.
So you would go from behind the building across that parking lot, let's just say,
Yes.
to the back side of it. Okay, that makes sense.
You'd still,
Okay.
I'm sorry, you'd still be on the back side of the parking lot?
Yes,
Still be on the back side of the parking lot?
yes.
Are you talking about close to the fence?
Yes, I think that's what he's saying. It would be hard to-
We'd have to do our topographic survey to fine tune that. But you have the fence, and you have the salon has like a sidewalk and some drains adjacent to the sidewalk, and then their shop is right there. So we're trying to get inside that fence and cut across to get to the sewer line.
Will you be able to give us some defined drawings that would show us, rather than, we're kind of discussing this at
Yes, sir, yes, sir, the point of the contract is for us to do a complete detailed design, which would have all of the details, the alignment, the meets and bounds descriptions and plats that might be needed to acquire these easements, to assist the city with the bidding of the project to the public, and services during construction of the project to monitor and certify the completion of the project.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking at pictures that I took yesterday from back there. Can you just show me what you're talking about? I'm looking at pictures that I took yesterday of the property. Can you show me where you're talking about? Because this is the back. This is the back of the building. One of them. This is the parking lot? And it would go this way? Okay.
Who owns this property here on
Max Patrick Smith.
So the sewer line goes that way then?
Yes, ma'am. It currently does, and it's planning to go that way as well. But these are just conceptual layouts that we've done. This is some survey work that we did for this homes, which we will to assist the city in getting this done.
So this property here doesn't have anything to do with these buildings?
And, you know, we recommend that the easement go all the way from block to block to provide the city with the access. It would not restrict, there is a sewer system in Capitol that's a little bit north, I call it north, along Capitol, where there is a line that serves that first house. But we don't know because we didn't want to dig up the roads and the road. But it could go back a little bit further, but the city's sewer map doesn't show it going back this far to serve the intended use that we have right now. But this person will not be denied service because the easement will be adjacent to this property.
So these buildings here, owners would give the easement
Yes.
on their property?
If we can get this person to give us, with the city 5 or 10 feet, that would be better too. But we'd have to track this, we can't get that in Salon because the building is
Right
already
there.
there. We want to have an offset in the easement to make sure that we provide service here.
And how wide would the easement be?
We haven't determined that yet, but I would say 10 to 15 feet. At least 10, maybe 12, and maybe as much as 15, to make sure that there's a little bit of extra room. You have equipment going in if you're doing some
That
excavation.
becomes a utility easement for
Right.
whatever.
And there's no other underground line back there. The water service is in the front. There's a couple of overhead lines in the back and some poles. But Energy already has an easement, I suppose, back there, but we're not, it didn't show up in a title commitment, so we don't know for sure.
Any other questions? Is the ultimate goal to reuse the taps going to the building? We're just replacing the main line, correct?
No, well, that's a question for the city. I would.
That's the first goal, right?
In good faith, in consideration of them granting an easement to the city, perhaps reconnection of their service lines could be kind of a trade-off.
I thought the trade-off was putting a new sewer line in for them.
What would be the longest run that you would have to make from the back of some of those buildings set inside?
I haven't determined that yet. Well, we haven't done any planning work yet, other than
Talking
just
about
sketches.
the hookup to their sewer to the main sewer line?
Yeah.
Right, if you put the front line in,
Yeah.
It'll vary some, probably 10 to 20 feet, maybe.
and this proposal would include just tying in their existing lines. We're not going to go in and dig up and
Well, that's a question for the city, I guess, really.
but you're going to be doing the evaluation on it, so you should be able to,
Well, if the lines are in need of replacement, certainly. I think it would be a good idea to do that and place the proper clean out, because we could not find clean outs back there, even on any of those buildings.
right, understanding how it was. So I guess what I'm saying is, if the city's going to spend the money to put an easement in, or put the trunk line in, let's say, and if the tie-ins are right there adjacent to where the easement and the trunk line is, okay. But any lines that may run 20, 30 feet to pick up that building, that should be the owner of that building's problem. It could be collapsed.
Actually, I
or
think the
whatever.
new sewer line's gonna be closer than the old sewer line.
Yeah, the new sewer line will be closer, so we should be able to tie in their
Those
service.
buildings, have you rode back there? Some of those buildings sit quite a bit. You know,
This motion is to pay him to design the project.
I
Per our scope of work.
I wanna make
We
sure
get to give him the scope of work.
But I
We can't make him
I do
engineer
agree with
without us
you.
paying him.
Yes, with the city taking this kind of expenditure out, I don't think there'd be any issue with each individual property owner paying for their own tap. I think that would be a no-brainer, because the sewer line, we don't know exactly, it was probably, the last time that we estimated the cost, it was how much, Mike, last time we estimated the cost to pipe our
It was 65,000, I
Yeah.
think.
So I feel like, I feel like a tap of, 1,500 or less would be real easy for the property owner to say yes to, considering that they're basically, this is relieving them the responsibility of a 60, 75,000, maybe more expenditure.
Without that, at some point, that building can't be
Right.
used.
Yeah, but if that's part of the condition, then we know, we definitely will make sure that that's, when they do the easement, they will know that they're going to be responsible for their own tap.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying it would take about $1,500 for them?
Well,
I'm just asking for a roundabout.
Don't quote.
Depending on what condition the line is in, and depending on what the contractor would charge, we can get that information. But right now, I'm just guessing somewhere.
Right, and that could be a separate, on a separate bid schedule to provide that. And that way, the city can make a choice, award the contract just for the public line and not for the connections. But then if the owners want to pay, they can make their own judgment on that.
Would they be allowed to ask for an EDC grant to help pay for it?
That would be totally up to the EDC. So if the EDC wanted to entertain that, that would be the EDC board's call.
But they
Because-
could.
Yes, well, let me put it this way, under new construction and under new businesses, we do honor we do have that as a part of the incentive.
But that's not new construction on their part, that's the city.
Right, well,
Well,
but for example, let's take the Chick-fil-A. The standard operating EDC incentives, they will be reimbursed for their water and sewer taps, because they're a new business. You can treat, the EDC has the authority to do whatever they want to do on each one of these, depending on how you want to approach it.
Do we have a motion?
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being no other questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem Bain.
Aye.
Councilmember McAdams. Aye. Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
I might also add that the funds that will be used will be grant funds that we've received for infrastructure improvements for this project.
Oh, that's right, it's not coming out of the city's budget.
It will not, well, it will not come out of, water and sewer budget, it'll come out of the grant funds for infrastructure.
Item 6B will be consider scheduling a public hearing for September 27, 2021 at 5 p.m. to review the City of Grove's proposed tax increase.
I make a motion that we consider scheduling a public hearing for September 27th, 2021 at 5 p.m. to review the City of Grove's proposed tax increase.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to consider scheduling a public hearing for the September 27, 2021 at 5 p.m. to review the City of Grove's proposed tax increase. Do I have any questions?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Black,
Yes, sir.
can you tell me if what the lady had spoke of up here a while ago, is that in fact factual, or?
Her comments on the statute are correct. It's my opinion that there has been substantial compliance with the statute because the approval, there are two ways to look at the budget. As Dee informed her, there were earlier proposed budgets that have been amended. The final amendment was on the 30th. The 30th day prior to according to the statute, would be the 29th, which is a Sunday. And almost all statutes say when a date is a Sunday, it's the next day. So I think that you have substantial compliance with the statute. That answers your question.
So in the, looking at the
Even if you
state law,
consider the 30th.
you don't feel that there's any, you don't see any type of breach of any of that?
Well, I don't see anything, there's no evidence of any bad faith, and that is a defense also.
James, I understand that there's no bad faith, but we have to make sure, I'm going to make sure I'm voting for the right thing. If we're breaking any kind of law at all, period, we need to know now.
The statute does say that the date, I have to get it out in front of me.
I have it.
Comment. Well, I have it also, but the 30th day that we're referring to is on the 29th, which is Sunday. Was a Sunday prior to the 30th. But it also can be construed that the earlier budgets, I think what the city was doing was considering the earlier budgets as the budget, but they did not comply with the statute, with the cover page and the filing. That is a fact.
I would add that the first budget did not have the effective tax rate, so we didn't have all the information we needed because of the county's delayed, or not delayed, but with the county giving us the information, we had to wait on the county for some of this information. And it didn't come to us until well after the 27th.
So this meeting scheduled for the 27th is legal?
Definitely, the hearing is definitely legal because it's properly called. That's
And
not
the
issue.
schedule that you gave us for all of the different proposed meetings, all that's legal? Because
Yes,
you went
there's
through
been
the
a
charter,
change.
you went through the
There has
state.
been a change on one change. The vote was to be on the 30th. The meeting on the 30th is going to be on the 29th because you run into another statute that says the tax rate has to be adopted prior to the 30th. So it has to be on the 29th, which puts the date back to the 29th of August for the other statute.
Excuse me.
So
Excuse me.
I think you have to look at this as substantial compliance with the statute. I cannot.
Is
tell
this
you anything
in
else.
compliance with the charter and the state?
It's definitely in line with the charter, I think. I don't think there's an issue there. But the statute, the state statute that Ms. Williamson referred to that correctly says that you have to, one statute says you adopt the charter, the budget, and it's a budget issue. It's not the tax rate, but it affects the tax rate statute.
So this on the 27th is legal?
The hearing there's not a problem with the hearing. The issue is the statute that says you have to adopt the budget. And it has nothing to do with the fact that the other hearing was canceled, any of that. It's the adoption of the budget, the proposed budget, filing with the city clerk under that statute. That was not done until the 30th. And to comply with the statute that requires the 30 days, it would be the 29th, because we're having the vote on the 29th of September.
Do you have it in writing where it can be, anything in writing for the movement of when the date falls on a Sunday? Is there anything? Do we have any past practice, not from necessarily from us, but from any other entities that can say, hey, this is what happens when this?
In a tax matter like this?
Yes.
No, sir, I don't have it.
So where did that come from?
Just most statutes say that if a date, they have dates requirements. If it's a Sunday, it's the next business day.
What'd you say, Ken?
Election statutes do that.
Election statutes do that? Okay. Well, you know, the IRS does that. If the date you're supposed to file something comes on a Saturday and Sunday, they go to the next Monday.
So you feel that we're in total compliance, no questions?
I can't tell you that because.
For the motion at hand?
We rely on you to tell us that.
I'm telling you, I think you have substantial compliance with the statute.
For the motion at hand to set the public hearing?
Oh, no problem with the public.
That's what the
hearing.
motion is right now, to set the public hearing.
Yeah.
We are in compliance to set this public hearing.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Being no questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem Baden.
Aye.
Councilmember